Welcome to Small Biz Life, episode 87, 5 Keys to Creating Connections.
Does this sound familiar?
Oh my God, I have so much to do today.
Don't forget to breathe.
But I have almost 400 emails in my inbox and 30 phone calls to make.
Have you looked into getting a virtual assistant yet?
Oh, and I need to schedule all my social media posts.
Did you drink anything today?
I had coffee.
Did you eat today?
Did I mention coffee's a bean?
This is Small Biz Life.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Small Biz Life. We are so glad you're with us this week.
Yes.
My name is Kristen Ingram. I was expecting more there than just yes.
I was just so very excited. And my name is Jeffrey W. Ingram. I am a person with IT background, and my wife, she's from the accounting side of things.
Exactly. So together we form the team at Ingram Digital Media, which produces this podcast. And we have over 30 years combined experience with small businesses.
I'm too old to remember.
Yeah. I think that's pretty exciting, though. And, you know, as small business owners for over a dozen years, you know, this is a wonderful journey that we're on. We know that sometimes it's kind of stressful. But we like to try to have fun with it, especially working together. And we're so glad that you're here for this journey.
Because a lot of it, too, is things are serious a lot, and there's a lot of drama in life. And, you know, sometimes we have pains and illnesses that crop up and all kinds of things. And really, it is having a sense of humor through all of it that will help keep you in a good frame of mind for doing business with people.
And it's really funny because, so I was meeting with a client this week, and she said, you know, I listen to your podcast. And I said, oh, that's really cool. And she's like, you know, I was just, you know, she was talking to another one of my clients, and she was like, are they really do they really get along that well? Like, are they faking it? Is that a facade? And actually, no, it's not.
No.
We really like working together. We have a lot of fun together.
Yeah, we do get along this well in real life. Don't get us wrong, there is sometimes friction. But in general, we both have the same ultimate goal of having each other's back when we agree and when we don't agree. So the thing is, I think when you sort of tackle life from that perspective together, it makes you a team. You know, and that's what's really important, and at least the life part of our small biz life.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, no, really, we really are this happy and this together with each other. You know, because here's the thing: it's like no matter how bad things get, okay, and you've got to understand, like if you don't know our backstory, I'm a cancer survivor. You know, Jeff has major issues with one of his knees.
It's actually propped up on a chair right now as we speak.
Yeah, but you know, we were in serious debt and dug our way out of that. So it's not that we haven't had trials in our marriage. I think we've had some pretty extreme trials and said, you know what? If we can get through that, we can get through anything.
Well, the thing is too, and this really leads into the first point of what we think is really important for creating connection with people. It's authenticity, right? We could have decided to come up with complete personas and, you know, pretended to be, you know, who we're not to try and further our show and to get around a lot faster. And the simple fact is, sooner or later, the truth will leak out.
Right, exactly. So, you know, the reason that we want to do this episode is I think a lot of small business owners have trouble creating connections, whether it's when you're networking or whether you're creating content for social media or creating videos or, you know, whatever you're doing. I think a lot of times we have trouble, right, with creating those connections. And so we've kind of boiled this down that there are really 5 key components to creating connections, either in real life or online.
Yeah.
Okay. And as Jeff said, the first one is authenticity.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people out there trying to be someone they're not.
They're trying to figure out how they should act for the camera. And the simple fact is it doesn't work that way. Especially when you're a small business, it's you and it may be a team of people who interact with people. So who you are is something that is going to directly affect your customers.
Exactly.
And, you have to be true with who you are. And that's not to say you might not present a side of yourself publicly, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, when people start interacting with you, if you don't seem the way that you seem when they watch you on videos, when they listen to podcasts, when they interact with you online, that's going to come through, and it's going to leave a bad taste in their mouth.
Right. And we talked in HQ this month about creating an attractive character. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean that attractive character is fake. That attractive character is part of who you are, but you're positioning yourself in such a way that you're saying, okay, so Jeff has appointed me the leader, right? And that is my attractive character, that I am the leader.
It's not an appointment. You're just simply a leader by nature. That's what you are.
But so when I talk to the audience, I am talking to you guys from that perspective. Mm-hmm. And, we still joke around and we still have fun. Mm-hmm. And, you guys know when we're having bad days and, mm-hmm. We're very transparent with our audience. But that's where I'm coming to you from, is from that leadership perspective.
And she just mentioned an important thing there in authenticity. You guys know when we have bad days. When we have good days, especially the ones that interact more with us online. And so part of being authentic, especially coming at it from a marketing, small business perspective, is you can't seem flawless, unless you're selling a system to be perfect. And I don't know if I would buy into that myself. I don't think people can do that. But the thing is, we do have flaws, and it's best to be honest and forthright with them. And that will help create attraction, because like she said, the attractive character, it's not about being likable even. It's about being attractive, something that pulls people towards you.
Right. And I think too many times we try to be perfect in front of our audiences. And if you're trying to connect with people and you show that you have no flaws, it's kind of impossible to connect with people.
Yeah.
Because everybody has flaws. And if you're trying to be this perfect person, you're not relatable.
Exactly. You're not creating a connection by being perfect because no one else is.
Right, exactly. So the second one is to show authority. And I think some people, especially when they're going online and they're trying to show that, hey, I know all these people and I can, I'm interviewing other people. The problem is that if your whole brand is built on interviewing other people, then they're the authority, not you.
Yeah. Well, obviously that depends on the way you present it. If you present it as in you're in awe and are strictly doing sort of a journalistic interviewing technique, you could definitely come across as not being knowledgeable, or maybe you know enough to talk about it, but you're not the person that people want to get it from. And the important thing is when you're sharing authority, it's not so much even about what you know. It's about how and who you've helped.
Right. And it's really about whether or not you can find answers. I think a lot of people out there have trouble with this authority piece because they don't know everything. And if you're an authority, you must know everything. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I don't know everything. Jeff doesn't know everything. I know that's a little shocking. I understand.
I'm shocked.
But it's really about showing your audience that you have more knowledge than they do. Or even showing, if you're out networking, you have more knowledge about your subject matter than the people you're trying to help.
That's why there's the great term subject matter expert. You know, and really all that means to someone you're talking to, and this kind of goes to one of Kristen's stories, is that you're a chapter ahead of them in the book. You know a little bit more. They need the next thing from you.
Right. So, when I started teaching, I was teaching a subject that I really had no background in. I had taken one course in college on this subject. It wasn't something I worked with on a daily basis. And I was kind of thrust in and said, here, go teach this class.
Yeah.
And it was scary and it was a little nerve-wracking. But when I got to the end of the semester, I had really good evaluations from the students. And people asked me, like, how did you do this? Like, how did you, do so well? And my response was, I just made sure I was always one chapter ahead of them.
Yeah.
Because that's really all it took.
And I think the other side of authority that's important is, I know people who are exceptionally brilliant in certain areas, but when you talk to them about it, you get that they're brilliant, but they don't convey their brilliance. They're nervous about what they're talking about. And sometimes it might be a social awkwardness, or sometimes it's just they don't feel comfortable in that position. And the problem is, if you don't come across with confidence, people aren't going to trust your answers, especially if they don't know them.
Right. And I think part of authority in making that really work is being able to explain your topic or the subject matter in a way that people can understand. Yeah.
And in a way you're comfortable with. And that's the reason why I like the idea of the attractive character, the way you present yourself to your audience, because there are different ways to do it. If you're not comfortable from a leader standpoint, you're not going to want to try and deliver it like Kristen. I kind of come at it from I like to explore and find things, and then I can break those down very quickly and come up with a good solution. But that's a way I'm very comfortable in doing stuff. I've lived my life that way. And so you have to find the more important thing, and that's the reason why developing yourself as a character is important. From an authentic standpoint, but also from an authority standpoint, because that gives you a way in which you feel comfortable to deliver the information you need to the people who need to hear it.
Exactly. Okay, so the next piece of this is personality. It's very hard to connect with other people if you're not willing to show your personality.
Yes. And I don't think I've ever met anyone who truly has no personality. I've heard lots of people say they don't have personality or they don't like sharing. And when you're sharing online, you don't have to share everything. And I'm by nature a person who was not very good at sharing anything, at least of substance.
Well, that's changed.
Yes, and that's changed a lot. I've become more comfortable over time sharing stuff, and I find it's actually helpful to share stuff. But the thing is, make determinations on what you're willing to. It's like there are a lot of people who, are internet famous who you know nothing about their families or their personal lives outside of like a few things that they like.
Like, it's really funny. Like, we were kind of we did a live call with Brendan Burchard, and we were kind of joking around with him that, like, he never says the name of his wife. He calls her my lady, my wife. And he purposely does that. Now it's funny because he's kind of given us some indication that might change a little bit. He might go behind the scenes some more. Because it's funny because, like, I've met his mom. Like, his mom's a wonderful lady. I really like his mom. But we know nothing about his wife. And, I think it's really important that if you decide to share things that are personal, that you get consent of your family.
Especially from your loved ones.
Yeah.
Especially those embarrassing stories. Or sometimes even stories where you think they look heroic. They might not want people to know they looked heroic in that way.
Right. And I mean, I know when I was writing for Payment Free Life, like, I talked to Jeff and I said, can I share how much debt we had? Like, are you okay with that? And because I didn't really think that it was my place to say, hey, we were $220,000 in consumer debt without asking for.
Yes, we had like 2 mortgages, but only 1 house.
Yeah, I know. But I think you can't just even if it's something personal about you, your spouse might not be comfortable with everybody knowing you had a major medical illness.
Yeah.
Because when we talk about that, you naturally talk about, family stories. So I think that it's really important that you get that consent.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. And I won't tell the story here, but on my other podcast, we did an episode and I had to double check with my co-host. I'm like, are you sure that your spouse wants this to be told?
Right.
And he believes it, and I'll take his word for it. But I could see where spouses don't always want the stuff shared. Even like I said to him, it was a story of pure heroism on her part, showing her true character and why he loves her. But sometimes people just don't want to be known.
Right.
And they, even if it's something that you think is heroic, to them might still be embarrassing.
I think I see this a lot in live networking where people are afraid to let their personality come out, that they're afraid that, okay, so this is a business networking event and we all have to be in our suits and ties and, shaking hands and very serious. But it's those personal interactions with people that really drive the connections.
That's why big companies spend a lot of money on CRM software, customer relations management, because they want to know when the birthday of your children are. They want to know small details about you so that they can better have relationships with you. And, it's key. I mean, when someone does business with, especially a small business, they're really doing business with the owner, and they want that. And the thing is, if you and a client really don't like each other, maybe you still are the person to deliver the service. But if you have that understanding going into it, you both will be better served in the business dealings, knowing where you don't really get along.
Right. And, if you're not being your natural self and you develop long-term relationships with clients, eventually your personality is going to come out and it's going to make you seem fake. Right? Okay, well, there's this persona that I've been dealing with, and now all of a sudden you're somebody else.
And think of how many stories are out there, on television or in movies where, couples have a problem and usually, the slighted couple will be like, it's not what you did, it's that you try to hide it from me, or you didn't show me, or it was the honesty side of things, and so very much sharing your personality, who you really are, is another way of being authentic.
Right. And even if you are an introvert, you can do this. There are a number of books out there for introverts in business and how to better connect with people, how to show your personality, show your authenticity.
And, and people consider themselves introverted for different reasons. Sometimes they don't believe they have the social skills to pull off extroverted, so they kind of naturally pull back. Other people are more comfortable in that pulled back position. But, introverts have reigned very successfully in many big businesses and small businesses. I mean, the thing is, you can't let a personality type stop you. There's no need for it to. There are countless examples. Just search the internet for successful extroverts. Or introverts, either one. They're successful people on both sides of the equation, and you can do it, and sometimes being an extrovert can actually be counterproductive to where maybe you're a little too aggressive in the way you're interacting and making people feel uncomfortable. So both sides have to really watch what they're doing and be thoughtful before they do things, but realize that when they do it, it needs to be them, their personality that sort of shines through.
Right, exactly. And even as an extrovert, I will tell you, a lot of times I just want to sit at home and not be around, large numbers of people.
Yeah. Or someone like me, I would be what they would call an extrovert, and I'm very much that way in interpersonal communications. If I'm in a group of 2 or 3, I love being in front of hundreds of people. Put me on stage and say, hey, do some crazy acting thing and make yourself look foolish. I get, yay, and I'll be excited. I'll go do it. But you put me in like a packed room of 30 people, I don't feel comfortable at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting because I'm almost the same way, that I like really, really big groups, right? We can kind of like carve out a niche of people, or small, like really, really small groups. Yeah. So, your authenticity, authority, and personality, right? This is like being really who you are, right? And showing people what you know. You have to make sure that you are providing value. Like the quickest way to connect with people is to provide them with value.
Especially, remember, ultimately, we're talking about this from the side of a business owner, and ultimately value is the biggest driver of why people do business with each other. And if you can't show the value of doing business with you, getting products from you, delivered by you, whether they're your products or the products that you resell for other people, it is the value, the results they're going to get from using those products or services from you.
Right. And the best way to deliver value is to be a really good listener. Because one of the things that I kind of learned early on in my networking career is if you approach people, you listen to them, you will find there will be something that they say, especially if they know what you do, where you can deliver little bits of value, even at a networking event.
Yeah.
So, I'll say, oh, I'm an accountant, what do you do? And this was way back in the day when I was just an accountant. But then I say, oh, what do you do? And then they'll start talking, and inevitably something in my wheelhouse would end up popping up.
Yeah.
So maybe it was, you accountants, I struggle with QuickBooks and what trouble are you having? And then, be able to give them a couple ideas. The more value that you can deliver in the even in live networking and the opportunities that I've had to help people with little things like that, my conversion rate to being able to either talk to them again or have them become a client was probably 85%.
Yeah. And this is the thing where a lot of people get squidgy. They're afraid if they share value, that then there's nothing worth buying from you. And it's not true, because, a lot of times people, even if you would tell them every single thing they need to do, they are so consumed with what they need to get done in their business, they might need someone to implement it for them. Or the ease of being able to do it is not always as simple as explaining it.
Right. I can't tell you how many clients, that I've said, oh, go, you need a new printer, go order this printer. Well, can you do it for me? And can you install it for me?
Yes, their account.
And I did, just because you tell people how to do something doesn't mean they're going to want to do it. You can tell people like, oh, hey, you should get this piece of software. And they'll still be like, well, could you install that for me? Could you show me how to use it? Oh, they have great tutorials. Well, I know, but I would just rather have you show me how to use it. So, there are lots of systems out there that'll tell you how to, build a funnel or run Facebook ads or, create your own logos.
And there are lots of people who make money doing that stuff.
Exactly. So you can't just assume that because you deliver value to people, whether this is in person or whether this is online, that they're automatically going to shut their wallets.
No.
If anything else, they're more likely to open their wallet.
Because especially if you give them an aha, something that they had not thought of before, something that would possibly work, that maybe makes them a little more willing to open their wallet.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of want you to really think about when you're interacting with other people, are you listening? And, even if you're online, we've kind of talked about this before, but when we go around online and we're reading what people are posting in groups and, whether it's our group or other groups, that is a great opportunity for us to learn like what is on people's minds, like what are people struggling with, which helps us provide content, right? Both free and paid.
Yeah.
And it keeps us, it allows us to deliver value even like on the spot, right? By being able to answer people's questions.
Yeah. And I think too, a good rule of thumb is whenever you're going to go interact with the client, especially in a one-on-one situation or maybe a small group, always have planned one thing to give them. Because one, it shows that, it's that you're going to deliver service above and beyond what they expect every time, and it leaves them with a sense that every time they see you, they're going to get something new. And think of how powerful that makes you look. Even if you're having to sit there beforehand and go online and go, I know they need something here. Let me do some research to figure out a possible thing for them to think about. A possible new technique, a possible new piece of software, whatever you're going to share with them, and make sure that as you're leaving the interaction, the last thing that they have from you is delivering that piece of value.
Right. Yeah. I remember I was at a client last fall, and I was helping her with QuickBooks, and she had mentioned something about the fact that her other computer it wasn't staying charged, and she was going to have to bring it to the computer guy, but she didn't have time. And I said, well, let me just take a look at it real quick and see. And all it was that her battery had kind of gotten knocked, so it wasn't really in there all the way. So when she plugged it in, it wasn't charging the battery. So I turned off the computer and I popped out the battery and I popped it back in and it started charging. And you would have thought that I just raised someone from the dead. But think about it, it's like that little thing, right? And maybe I would have looked at it and said, you know what? I think maybe you do need a new battery.
Yeah, it looks like you're right. Yeah.
It looks like you're right. But like I saved her day. And so, when I'm meeting with clients, I'm always looking for little ways that I can add additional value.
Yeah. And if you're perceptive and you listen well, they'll usually tell you what they need in the conversation. Because like I said, especially as small business owner working with clients or small business owner working, whether they're like customers directly or like maybe other business customers you work with, when people walk away gaining something from you every time, that builds up also your authority, over time. These things all in a way sort of play together, but your value is truly your authority ultimately, because it's your ability to deliver. And when you can listen well and, your skill set, like, Kristen had no great knowledge of computers. She knew a few basic things, but she has good troubleshooting skills. So she's comfortable stepping in those circumstances. So, you need to know a bit who you are, use your ears, empathize with people, and try and give them some value going out the door.
Right. And another thing that I've noticed is that by doing that, by going that extra step, by providing that extra bit of value, people do not complain about my bills.
I never have.
Well, that's good because I take your whole paycheck. But, it's kind of funny because I know a lot of accountants and people are like, oh, people are always griping about how expensive we are. And I don't get that from people. And I think it's because like they get my bill and they're like, yeah, well, she fixed the battery on my computer and she did this and she did that. And oh yeah, we talked about this. And when you provide value, kind of think of like those online offers, right? That, well, if you spend $9.97, you're going to get $10,000 worth of value. And you go, wow, that's a really good deal. As small business owners, we can do that, right? If we kind of think outside the box a little bit and listen, we can provide value without necessarily spending a lot more time.
And if listening isn't one of your skills, practice. Do it with your loved ones at home, right? Listen and try and provide them value. And it will give you practice so you can do it more freely when you're out in public. Because if you're one step ahead of someone, you will probably always be at least one step ahead of them.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm telling you, like, that's one of the greatest things you can do, especially if you're authentic, if you have authority, if you're showing personality. And then when you add value on top of that,
yes,
I mean, it's like, boom, right?
Oh, yeah.
Boom.
Boom.
So the last one, and I think that this is, we kind of want you to think about how accessible are you? And we are big believers that clients need to pay more for more accessibility.
Yeah.
So whether you are, whether you're an online business or an offline business, the clients should expect that if they want, higher level of accessibility to you, that costs them more money.
Yeah.
You're not going to give the same level of accessibility to somebody who pays you $8 a month, because they give you a piece of software, as you do somebody who pays you $3,500 a month, right? Because their whole business has
And I think
contract.
we both have probably seen small business owners who do that, where maybe they like the other client better or for whatever reason. But remember, it's a business. And it's the money you get paid that allows you the time to be accessible. Treat the people who pay you more money better, because they're the ones that are giving you the money to feed your family more. So, it's like businesses all try and aspire to this and sometimes fall short, where it's like, well, I just don't want to deal with them today. But yeah, sure, they give me a lot of money, but you have to treat them good. And realize that they at least see the value in your service to give you that extra money. And even if someone is like, you'd really rather spend time in your free Facebook group because it's a great community, there's nothing wrong with spending some time there. You should spend some time there. But the thing is, if you have that paid community, you should spend more time there. If you have customers that pay you a lot of money, you should make sure they're getting individual time. You should schedule time to do this.
Right, exactly. So, I think that, because I see a lot of times where, let's say you have, 2 customers, and one of them is always trying to get you to lower your bill. They're always complaining about how much you bill. And so it's like you're trying to give them more of your time to kind of show them how valuable you are, but they never get it.
Yes.
And so because you are giving so much time to this client who's a pain in your butt, you're not able to devote the time to the other client who never questioned your bill, always calls you when they need help, refers new customers to you, because you don't feel like you have to prove anything to them. But the problem is that, you're slowly alienating that really good customer because you're trying so hard to prove that, hey, look, I'm so valuable, to the customer who's never going to get it.
Yeah. And realize too that you're going to be a better fit for certain customers than others. And when you're focusing on the customers that you're not reaching because maybe you're not the best fit for, or they're not the best fit for you, that's wasting energy. And remember, we talk about this occasionally. Energy is like this tank, and you only get so much a day. And you're burning it up on people who don't care. And that's not to say you shouldn't have efforts and plans and marketing in place. You should. But ultimately, you give the time to the people who give you the money. And that's not to say you can't be friends with people who aren't giving you money, But when it comes to your business, you have to take care of the people who are investing in your business. And that's the people who pay you.
Right. And, it's kind of interesting because there are some people in the business world who feel like we need to seem like the desperate ones. Like, we need our clients. And don't get me wrong, we need our clients.
Yes.
Okay. Because otherwise we're not feeding ourselves.
We're not Sears. We all need new clients.
Yeah, I can't believe that Sears said that. That was ridiculous. So Sears came out with their quarterly earnings, and they were pretty terrible. And they're like, well, we don't need more customers.
Yeah, you do.
And all the analysts were like, no, really. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you totally do. But I know some business owners that have kind of taken the position like, if you want to do business with me, I'm interviewing you as much as you're interviewing me. And if I don't think we're a good fit, then we're not working together. And these business owners have gotten a lot of like flack from people that, how dare you like not want to work with me or not want to work with somebody? And it's like, I'm sorry, but if I'm going to be delivering a service and working with you closely, I have to like you.
Well, especially if it's a more expensive service and there's a lot of direct interaction. And part of that's in presentation. Some people will take offense no matter what, don't get me wrong, but you present in a way that I just feel where you're at and where I'm at, we're not going to benefit the best working with each other. And I think you could maybe do better than me and I could do better than you.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe not that last part.
But, I think it's interesting because I think a lot of times when we're building connections with potential customers, we act one way. But when we're trying to build relationships with potential vendors, we kind of take it from this position of power that like, well, I'm trying to give you money so I can be a jerk if I want. Really consider like, are you behaving like the kind of customer that this person would want to work with? It's interesting because I see people like submit proposals for work they want done. And it's like, do you really do you read what you wrote and how that sounds? Because I'm not sure people are going to want to work with you. So I think, when you're looking at creating connections, I think you have to look at it from both sides, that it's not just how you behave in front of your customers, but also how you behave in front of, vendors and potential service providers.
And when it comes to, vendors too, you need, the more business you do with certain vendors, the better relationships you need with them the same way. Because both sides benefit from a good relationship. They should be trying to have a good relationship with you if you give them a lot of money, but you need to be having a good relationship with them as well. There's a story of a person that we knew who had a very successful business for a long time, and without going into too much detail, he wasn't very good to the people he worked with, not his employees, not his vendors, and during one of the recessions, stuff pulled back, and you know what? All of the vendors, they abandoned him, and he went out of business, lost everything within a year. And the thing is, when you have customers that you don't like, don't be that customer for someone else.
Right, exactly. I think that's a really good point. I think if you think about these things for all of your interactions, that you're going to be authentic, you're going to show authority, you're going to have personality, you're going to deliver value. I mean, it's funny because there are vendors that I've worked with who have actually sent me work, because I've always been respectful to them, so, I mean, you never know where work is going to come from.
Yeah.
So just kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really important. But, I also want you to be aware that when customers approach you, you are interviewing them as much as they are interviewing you. Always be yourself. Show your personality, because sometimes personalities don't jive. I have a very strong personality. People have told me, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in working with you. That's okay. That's totally cool. This is who I am.
Yeah.
So
if you don't want to work with the leader, Kristen's not a good person.
Yeah. If you don't want to work with somebody who's going to be really honest with you, even when you don't want to hear it, and most of my clients really like that. They like
most
the
of
fact.
The time.
Most of the time.
Everyone has a moment where they're like, oh.
I really don't want to hear that. But, creating connections is key to your business, right? Whether, you're doing live networking, you're trying to connect with people on social media, people want to do business with people they like and trust.
Yes.
And if you don't show enough of yourself, And I've talked to small business owners before, and they've been like, you know what? I don't want to be the face of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hire somebody else to be the face, or we're just not going to have a face.
Mm-hmm. The product will speak for itself, which is really great until you get competition.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, your business has to have a face. And as a small business owner, it has to be you.
Mm.
Whether you're selling software or quilting supplies or
Anything.
Services, it doesn't matter. You're the face of your business.
Because the thing that you're going to find is the best case scenario, you do okay and you get some extra money from it. You'll probably be safe. But you know what? If your business goes gangbusters, every entrepreneur will start eyeballing you, and they will look to take your business away from you. And they will start offering products that are very similar to yours. They'll start offering services very similar to yours. And you know what? You might then start using your marketing to sell their business.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, that's kind of, and this is on my reading list soon, is it's a book called Blue Ocean Strategy. And it's all about that you can create an amazing business when people think that it might be profitable. It's kind of like those spinner things that everybody's talking about, the little fidget spinners. It's one of those things that it just kind of came out of nowhere. And then all of these entrepreneurs were like, my God, this is the great hot thing. And I'm going to start selling these. And everybody's ordering them from China and trying to sell them online. But now it's the market is saturated.
Mm-hmm.
You might have a niche that nobody is in for a while. But when the entrepreneurs start smelling success, they're going to crowd your pool.
This is what economists like to call the signaling system of capitalism. It's one of the things that makes capitalism work is people see success in money. And one of the flaws is people aren't great at reading it. So it's they'll see money there, but 10 million people will descend to try and get that money. And if the pool of money doesn't grow with the new entrepreneurs, it all of a sudden will dry up.
Mm-hmm. Right. So go out there, embrace the fact, right, that you are the leader of your business. Go out there, create connections. And, if you need help with this, if you're struggling with this, we'd love to have you join our Facebook group. It's facebook.com/group/smallbizlife, and ask for help.
Yeah.
We have an amazing community of people that will help you out and give you tips and, help you become, the leader business owner that you need to be.
And don't worry too, you don't have to tell everything when you're sharing your story. Remember that. You have to tell strategically thought out things through the way you're presenting yourself as a character. But it's a truthful representation of yourself. It's maybe highlighted, maybe a little crazier than normal. If you're some people, maybe a little saner than normal for other people.
You're saner than normal.
I'm much saner than normal. People all the time go, you must be, acting crazy because that's who you are. I'm like, no, this is toned down. And remember, if you do need someone to act crazy for you on stage, contact me. I will do it.
There you go. So thanks so much, guys. We had a lot of fun with you this week, and we'll see you next time.
This was Small Biz Life.